Hi, and welcome. Welcome yourself right on back to Narcissu side second. When we were last together, our girl, Himeko, really going through it. Just from bright, young, happy girl with her new car to just, well, exactly what you'd expect for Narcissu. So I don't know that there's much else I can say about that. So we'll just go ahead and dive right on into things. We are jumping into a chapter named 15th Summer, which sounds this is going to be from Setsumi's perspective, from what I'm gathering. Those dazzling days, those summer days. Summer 1999 Setsumi. All right, so we've got a date now. Okay, so we're a little like 6 years or so. Well, we're like 5.5 years or so out from the events of the first game. So she's like 15-ish? Yeah, she's about 15, 14-ish, somewhere around there. Burning sunlight and the sound of cicadas. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. The third summer I've faced since the day I was first hospitalized. Of course, it's not like I was hospitalized the whole time. There were days interrupted with home and outpatient care. It's been half a year since I last came. The time I spent wearing pajamas slowly grew. And as if in direct proportion, the number of people who came to visit me shrank. At first, classmates came to visit me every day. People that were once called friends, but now they had turned into acquaintances. Even if I meet them on the street, they'd leave after exchanging a few words of greeting. Soon, those acquaintances will turn to strangers, and someday, I'll probably be erased from their memories. It probably makes them uncomfortable. For people who live normally, my very existence to them, even if they were to meet me, it probably doesn't raise their spirits, and probably the same goes for thinking about me. And so, I think they've decided to erase me. Yet whenever the end of the school day comes, every day I continued to watch for someone to come. And then, after half a year of waiting, I stopped looking outside. Finally, I remembered to close the curtains, accepted the fact, guessed at the reason. After 3 years, even I came to understand. It's not that they had forgotten about me. It seemed that they'd made as if from the start, they never knew me, never saw me. Jesus Christ. Sucks because you know that this this happens, right? With terminally ill people. It's just, nobody likes looking at death, y'all. It's a difficult thing. The brain has a way of trying to shut that shit out because the brain does not understand death. As if there had been nothing there to begin with. They probably want to keep their eyes closed. Around when I was being admitted in and out of the hospital, when people had already stopped coming to visit me, and I had most likely been erased from everyone's memories, my family moved from the freestanding home we had long lived in to an apartment. Oh, now we're getting to like the rough family stuff. Oh, they relocated to a smaller place to probably accommodate her treatment as well as it's. Oh, God. Okay. Mother started working part-time in a nearby takeout lunch shop. The meaning behind it all Even I could understand. Hospital fees were no joke. In the ward, every day, it was a conversation topic for the patients. I came to know how the patients themselves felt the responsibility to their families far more than the families could imagine. And then, the small, old, slightly dirty wooden building that was our new home. On top of being smaller, Father's daily commute stretched to over 2 hours. Meanwhile, the distance I had to take to the hospital became a 3-minute walk. In front of that beat-up, cramped apartment, Father said, "The air here is nice. It feels good, doesn't it?" Saying that, he smiled, and Mother smiled the same way. Man. Because the heat might aggravate my health, they put an air conditioner in my room. Of course, no other room had one. And Mother, who had started going to that part-time job, often brought back croquettes and fries for me, saying that they were leftovers. In that cramped room, we ate together. Always, they smiled happily. It was very... Oh, it's painful. I know you're gonna say it's painful. Just bracing it. Yeah! Oh! Their thoughtfulness was unbearably painful. Instead of feeling thankful or happy, I was filled with guilt. It's your fault. Probably that's what I wanted them to say. I wanted them to blame me more. Being treated kindly hurt. I remember uncontrollable feelings of irritation, even anger towards myself. If God were around, I wanted him to quickly heal me. Or if that wasn't possible, let me die now. Everyone else was in the middle of erasing my existence. But in contrast, my parents sought to make me stand out. Because they want as much time as possible. They want to imprint that on them as vividly as they can. That was much more painful. Even as I was being treated kindly, I hated myself for being unable to repay it. I cursed the fact that one of the countless misfortunes in the world happened to fall on me by chance. In such times, smiling and putting on a cheerful air may have been what I was supposed to do. But all I was able to manage was to quietly eat the fries that I really didn't like that much. I'm going to assume that that is an onomatopoeia for the sound that the Higurashi are making. The burning sun and cries of cicadas. When the white rainy season clouds cleared and it had turned completely into summer, after being readmitted to the hospital for the nth time, finally, I was discharged. But that wasn't the end of things. The word discharge also meant until the next time I was admitted, the beginning of a long life of outpatient care. Under the blazing sky today, I again walked the 3 minutes distance in my pajamas. To my mother, who had offered to come along, I replied, "It's all right." In my own way, it was supposed to be out of consideration for her, but the desolate look on her face at my words also hurt. My feet happened to stop before some school. Most likely, it was an elementary school. Since it was already summer vacation, there weren't many people in sight. In front of that empty schoolyard, for some reason, I wound up gazing. Without thinking, my feet had stopped. Occasionally, I would see happy children running around, and my eyes would follow them. Under the blazing sky, the long-sleeved pajamas were hot. I felt strongly out of place gazing at the schoolyard. After standing there for a while, I once again began to walk. However, not towards the hospital, but home. And once I returned to my room, I took out the sailor uniform that had been in the dresser. Sleeves that I hadn't passed my arms through in 3 years. A just like new uniform. Previously, they had been worn only for a single week. And now, to me, they were the only clothes other than pajamas I owned. Once again, walking under the blazing sky, the noisy cicadas, running sweat was the same as just before. But the people who walked by, their eyes did not pause upon me. Even I, as part of the backdrop of the city, as a part of what builds up everyday life, felt accepted. Even then, when I entered the schoolyard from earlier, before my eyes was a metal bar for children to play on. I extended my hands towards it. Placing strength into my arms, I pulled with all my might and kicked at the ground. A moment's sensation of floating, then my body spins around. Aww. He's so cute. It's still okay. I whispered that aloud for some reason while I looked around from atop the bar. The strong sunlight made the playground seem white, and the heat made the ground look wavy. A lot of the this is gonna be a dumb aside that's completely ruining the moment, but every time I had seen this image, because this is obviously the promo image they used for Side Second, every time I see this image, they do a close-up version of it so that like it looks like she's holding something, and and since it cuts off here at the left, it always looks like a scythe. Like, we never see the right side, so it obviously looks kind of more like a scythe on the right side since it's longer now. But like all the promo imagery is just it's like a tight shot on this with this side kind of sticking out, and it always looked like she was holding a scythe, which I think that would be rad. I think if anybody deserves to wield a scythe and rend souls asunder, it's probably Setsumi. The strong sunlight made the playground seem white, and the heat made the ground look wavy. Occasionally, I could hear the voices of happy children and the insistent voices of cicadas declaring that summer was their season. With my arms already beginning to shake from supporting my weight, I soaked up the present. Why was it that I suddenly wanted to do this, I wonder? The exact reason, not even I knew. By now, the times I wore anything but pajamas dwindled. The pressure from the need to do otherwise had also disappeared. Did I find that to be sad, or perhaps I wanted to test if I still had the strength? I should be the same as everyone. Should be the same as the normal people who were over there. So just from a somersault around a bar, I shouldn't be making such a strained face. Because I felt that way, I forced myself to make a smile. But just as I was unable to stop the shaking in my arms, it seemed that too was difficult for me. Yeah, that looks like a very pained smile. The artist did an incredible job. Oh no, are we doing it? Okay. The artist did a really great job there of giving her a smile that looked very painful and distant and ugh, God, it's really good. It's really good. Hot. Even though it was still morning, the asphalt looked wavy from the heat. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. And in that, as always, I headed toward the hospital alone. With this distance, even though I could have gone in pajamas when I had to go out, I've come to wear my sailor uniform. Yeah, like, she's giving herself some level of normalcy here. Very much like when she got new clothes in the original. It's like anything but like this thing that's so stigmatized. Most likely I was still wavering. How long this wavering will continue, not even I know. One day I may suddenly just be able to give up. It was just that I had come to think that the span of 3 years was more than enough for a person to change. Then, passing by that school, and as the entrance to the hospital was before my eyes, the button's falling off. In my hands was a small tote bag. I noticed that the button that held the handle was fraying off. How long it had been like that, I didn't know, but coming all this way, I wasn't going to go back home. So I held the bag to my chest and continued toward the hospital. The usual doctor, the usual exchanges, and today's examination ended. When my body's condition was stable, it was once a week. 3 times a week seemed to be a sign of a short hospitalization. With this week's examination was over. As I thought that, I headed toward the exit on the first floor. In the afternoon, the doctors weren't seeing patients, so the halls were mostly empty. Occasionally, a doctor would walk by with a group of intern-like people in tow. Nurses rushed to the first aid window. A patient, probably under dietary restrictions, was in the shop buying snacks. Their wristband was visible, green, which I'd heard was for digestive disorders. All of this was just the ordinary, everyday hospital. And in front of that shop was the first time that I met her. Hey, you! Oh, she's meeting Himiko. This is their first meeting. Huh? Suddenly, a bright voice called out to me and surprised me. Turning around before me was the pajama-clad figure of an One-san I didn't recognize. I had thought it might have been someone I met while I was admitted here, but I didn't recall the face or figure. Yeah? That button! It's fallen off, you know. As she spoke, she pointed to my tote bag. It might have been a simple act of kindness, but since I had already noted the problem, I had trouble finding a reply. Why, it is. Why, yes, it is. Why, yes, it is. That's it? You got nothing else to say? Thanks. As I spoke, I lowered my head a bit. Because I already knew, my reply came out hesitatingly. But even then, it was too difficult to say, thank you very much. The One-san that I hadn't seen before, her long black hair and bright voice, left an impression. Looking at her slippers, the kind provided by the hospital, she was probably not an outpatient, but admitted. Looking at her thin waist, her wristband was white. That was a color I hadn't seen before. Hey, how about I fix it for you? Huh? I have a sewing set. But at her sudden words, I hesitated, but not over a button that didn't mean much. These past few years, because my existence was always only being erased, I had absolutely no experience with someone actively trying to relate with me. Don't worry about it. Look, come here. Don't worry, it's not like it'll be a weird place. With those words, she started walking briskly. And while wrapped in mixed feelings, I followed behind. We got into the elevator. Without a word, she pressed the button for the highest floor. 7th floor? Oh, do you know about it? Not much. The 7th floor, the place they called the hospice. I wasn't too familiar with it, and of course, I've never been there. For one thing, I heard that people not involved with it were barred from entering. It probably meant that this One-san here was headed to the 7th floor. She was a person from there. Soon the elevator reached its stop, and right in front of the door was the nurses' station. And when the doors opened all together, the gazes of the nurses turned toward us. Don't worry about it, this is someone I know. With that one sentence, they once again went back to their work. No one looked towards us anymore. It was just my first time here. Okay, so this is just literally, I thought that like, She would, like, when she was following the line earlier, like, she just kind of found herself there by accident. It's how it was reading when we were, well, like, at the start of the game. But so this is her actual first arrival on the 7th floor. But without putting my finger on it, I thought the atmosphere was especially heavy. The place the One-san finally took me to looked like a lounge area. It was very different from the 3rd or the other floors that I'd been admitted to. Those didn't have these sofas or the TV. I'll fix this for you quick, okay? With that, she took my tote bag and, with what seemed like a practiced hand, began fixing the button. Yeah, like if there's anybody that's gonna be like crafty as well as being a mechanic, I feel like that's kind of like, well, she can't seemingly do mechanic stuff anymore, so obviously, you know, taking up a craft or just being naturally crafty, like that just may be a thing. She may just have already been crafty, which it wouldn't shock me if that was the case. People can be, people are multitudes. With that, she took my tote bag and with what seemed like a practice hand began fixing the button. And like her, I sat down on the sofa and watched. Even if I looked around, there were few signs of people. Occasionally, an elderly or helper-like person going by was about all. By the way, did you catch a cold or are you visiting someone? Right now, I'm an outpatient. I hesitated on how to answer, but said the truth. I added that I had just been discharged recently and was an outpatient now. I see. Looks like you've got it hard too. By the way, what club are you in? Club? Well, it's supposed to be summer break, right? As she spoke, she pointed at my uniform. You've been in the hospital, so maybe the literature club, or maybe the manager of a sports club? Not really. I'm not in any. Oh, that's an unexpected answer. Is it that you hate pajamas? At the sudden perceptive question, I couldn't find the words to respond with. It's not that I hated pajamas, but I sensed that the precise reason would be difficult to put into words. And what that One-san said had asked was probably aimed straight at that. She hadn't simply been asking whether I liked pajamas literally. One-san, you're someone from here, right? Yeah, even though I look like this, I'm a resident of the 7th floor. I guess the short of it is, someone whose death has been confirmed. Just out and out say it. You know, I mean, I guess that's just kind of how you have to be at this point. Like, somebody, you know? It's a very straightforward thing, but, you know, like, she's 15. She's, you can dig it. Like, I understand that Japanese media often deals with death a lot sooner than Western media, that, like, especially children's media. Like, I've definitely seen some children's media from Japan that deals with death. So, like, the concept of death, while it's still a very scary thing, is like, it's seemingly in Japan, it's like a much more just kind of like, kids are a lot more aware of it in the early going, much earlier than we are. That which I had only known on the level of rumors was now clearly spelled out by a resident of the 7th floor. She used the word death in such a bright and relaxed tone. At the least, it didn't seem like I could comprehend. This person, what on earth could her thoughts be? Hey, if it's all right with you, come again to play. Me? There's nothing to do and it's boring. Plus, here on the 7th floor, like visiting hours go way late. And with that, she told me various things about the 7th floor. Up until now, it had been vague, but it seemed like the rumors that it was a place to wait to die were true. There are other rules, but I can't say anymore. Huh? Why? Well, that should be obvious. Because you're not a resident of this place. It was only then, when she whispered that, did her face cloud. I felt that expression held loneliness and seemed filled with intensity as well. Right now, I was wearing these clothes, steeped with the lingering regret for once normal days. And unlike myself, this One-san, no, these residents of the 7th floor, had probably given up on everything and already had made up their resolve. Well, even if it's just when you come for examinations, drop by. Since no matter how hard I try, there's only about a half a year left. She said that, and by way of farewell, she once more turned her cheery face toward me. Long black hair, white wristband, and a bright, relaxed way of talking were my first impressions. Still, neither of us knew the other's name. My 15th summer. That was our first meeting. It's hot. A few days later, again, I visited the hospital. However, it wasn't like it was an examination day. If it's all right with you, come to play. The words of the One-san I met a few days ago. Maybe because I was somehow concerned about the 7th floor. Maybe it's because I was somehow concerned about that 7th floor place, or maybe I was curious for some reason. Bing! I came to the highest floor. With a nod to the nurses who looked my way, I made my way to the door that the One-san had told me. Come in. I came. Welcome. I've been waiting. Come, sit. It was hot today, wasn't it? Sitting up in her bed, she offered the folding chair next to her. The first room on the 7th floor that I entered felt a little different from the 3rd floor rooms that I was used to. Man, you already just had it locked in. I knew you'd be back. I'm so bright and bubbly. How could you resist? And to be fair, good assumption to make. Dang. It's just so matter of fact with everything. It's just like, look, I know what the deal is. We're both sick. Like, I know that you ain't got time and I got nothing, but I know that you got nothing but time and I got nothing but time, so. Why did you jump to that conclusion? Because our job as the sick is to sleep, right? There's no other people in the world with as much free time as us. Oh, you don't think so? Not particularly. Always the cool one, aren't you? Oh, I know. Hey, do you like ice cream? Oh, then you don't like it? Okay, it's decided then. Why don't we go to eat together in the cafeteria?
遠慮しなくていいって。お姉さんおごってあげるから。
You don't have to hold back. One-san here will treat you.
よく知らない人に。
You shouldn't go with strangers.
は？
Huh?
お母さんにそう言われてる。
That's what my mother told me.
なんで笑うのよ。
Why are you laughing?
ごめん、悪気はないから、本当に。でも確かにその通りね。
But that's exactly right.
知らない人についてちゃダメよね。
You shouldn't go with strangers.
姫子よ。
It's Himeko. Oh, it was a cute little way for her to get her to say her name. Ah, Setsumi, you're too adorable. Ah, that was so cute. You are a clever little goose. Ah, that was adorable. It's Himeko.
え？
Huh?
お姫様の姫に子供の子。
A princess's Hime with a child's Ko.
ついでに言うと、天秤座の AB 型。
And while we're at it, Libra, AB blood type.
あなたは？
And you are?
水亀座の O 型。
Aquarius, O blood type.
節み。
Setsumi.
じゃあ、これで知り合いね。節み。
Well then, we're acquaintances now, aren't we, Setsumi?
焼けた日差しとセミの声。
Burning sunlight and the sound of cicadas.
この真っ白な7階にも響いていた。
Even in the pristinely white 7th floor, they resounded.
姫子と名乗るお姉さん。
The One-san, who called herself Himeko,
まだ私はお姉さんのことを何も
still,
知らないけど、
I knew nothing about her.
この日から長い夏が
But starting this day,
始まろうとしていた。
a long summer was beginning. Dang. Oh. Oh, we get an opening? Yo, are we getting like late? Yo. All right. I didn't know we were going to have an opening animation, and like reading all of this stuff is going to make me cry. So let's enjoy this opening together. Oh my god, that reference. 1999, their long summer was beginning. Oh! I don't know if you was reading those lyrics or not. That's, oh man, that's heavy stuff. And I know what I'm looking at on my monitor right now. I'm looking at that 5th chapter and I see that name and I'm trying hard. I guess, man, after they throw those those really just it was really oh man, it was thought-provoking and dense and prescient lyrics at you. They've got to also remind you to stop, collaborate, and listen. So I'm gonna be smart here and I'm going to left click this first. Number 5, Vanilla Ice. And we will stop on Mr. Rob Van Winkle himself. And that is going to wrap things up for this part. So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back again probably tomorrow with more. Interested in seeing where this relationship goes because I kind of feel like we're seeing some things. We've seen some things in Himeko already that I think that even though Setsumi's personality was pretty muted in the first game, I think we're already starting to see little bits of her personality that probably rubbed off. So it's going to be interesting seeing this this little friendship and relationship blossom into whatever it's going to be and how it's no doubt going to affect Setsumi's life going forward. So yeah, that's going to wrap things up. I hope you have a nice rest of your whatever, wherever it is you are, and we'll catch you next time.